So we're here with Scott Ray speaking about work and vocation. A fun exercise that I'd like to try with you, Scott, is just to shout out a couple of different vocations, and I want you to tell me what the different values of each profession are, as a way to help Christians think about the value of their work. So the first one I have is investment banker.
Here's how investment banking serves the common good, by making capital available to businesses of a wide variety of sorts, for one. And most companies, if they don't have the capital available that comes from investment bankers, can't make their payroll. Which is why 10 years ago, when the international banking system almost seized up, companies were in terrible straits just to make their payroll week in and week out. The other thing investment banking does is it fosters the investments of most of the average working people throughout the world who have retirement accounts. In fact, I count on the companies that I am invested in maximizing their profits, not for the benefit of executives, but for my benefit. And individuals like myself that have 401k plans or retirement plans, institutions that have endowments that are dependent on those, all of those contribute to human flourishing and serve their community in a wide variety of ways. Okay? Now, they also have the potential to go off the rails too.
We talked about
which
the value.
I think that's what you were making.
Right.
I think you were thinking about that.
The next one is city planner.
City planners have a huge responsibility to be of kingdom service in helping design cities that maximize human flourishing. That's really their job. Now, whether they do that well or not, I think depends on how their citizens flourish. And there's more to just the place that determines human flourishing. But place and geography in the scripture is really important. It matters a lot. And therefore, maximizing the value and the aesthetics and the beauty of place contributes a whole lot to the flourishing of my soul. Very important.
Musician.
Musician simply creates beauty. Same for most of the arts. That's their role is to create beauty and to reflect the character of God in being a beautiful God. The musician creates creates environments for people to be reflective, to be worshipful, to be in community. All of those contribute to serving our communities well and contributes to human flourishing.
What about a janitor?
A janitor. Let me give you an example. Let's say it's a janitor for a hospital. If that maintenance person doesn't do his or her work well, what happens to that hospital?
Infection and disease.
Infection, disease, and eventually it gets closed down.
Yeah.
I have a faculty colleague who was in the hospital a couple of years ago for major surgery, and the custodian came in to clean his room while he was sick, but she asked her real gently, "Is that okay if I come in and clean?" Didn't want to disturb him. And he said, "Thank you so much for doing your job well. Because do you realize if you didn't do your job well, the hospital would shut down, and it wouldn't matter what kind of training surgeons and nurses have. If you don't do your job well, they can't do theirs."
Yeah.
And he said, "You are as important to facilitating the healing of patients as doctors and nurses are." The amazing thing is that nobody had ever told her that. And she was floored by the fact that a patient actually would tell her that. So I think it's disappointing that nobody in her management chain had thought to tell them and create some sort of vision for how important their job was to the functioning of that hospital.
School teacher.
School teachers are preparing the next generation of citizens, workers, skilled laborers, and community members who will be responsible community members who will all contribute to the flourishing of their communities. I would say also the value of school teachers is that they provide the surest route for young men and women to avoid a life of poverty. And that's just flat out kingdom service. Because we know that the best remedy for intractable poverty around the world is education. People just don't escape from poverty without it. So school teachers are, I would say, are the most important profession in enabling vast majorities of the world's population to avoid being mired in intractable poverty.
Second last one, stay at home mother or father.
I'm glad you say both of those because increasingly it's stay-at-home dads, although that's a harder one, I think, to get a lot of credit for. But stay-at-home parents they're essentially discipling the next generation of children and doing at home what a lot of what school teachers are doing in the school system. They are preparing the next generation of responsible citizens. Christian parents are preparing the next generation of followers of Jesus. And we know that those first 3 to 5 years at home are the most formative. And there's some couples who just can't do it financially. But if at all possible, to have as much as we can, to have mom and dad be the ones responsible for the lion's share of raising their own kids, I think is the best for children. But they're the ones making the primary investment in the future of our communities.
The last one, and indulge me on this one, administrative staff at a theological college. Not just me, the whole team.
Well, as I've told your principal, who actually thinks he runs the place. He doesn't. No, that shouldn't, and he will freely admit that you and others on the administrative staff, I actually call it the leadership staff, are actually the ones who run the place. And you are the ones who do all of the work that empowers the faculty to invest in the students like they're doing. And videos like this that you're producing are great for the reputation of the school, extending the reach of the school, and you're preparing men and women to recognize Christ in all their lives. It's not just a preparation for pastoral ministry. I've got several students in my intensive class who are not in pastoral ministry, are never going to be. But they're looking for ways to integrate their Christian faith into the sphere of influence that God has them in. A hospital, a psychiatrist, a nurse, a chaplain, variety of settings. So you and your team are the ones who are actually running the institution that empowers people who are making the direct investment in students. But don't think for a moment that what they're doing is more important than what you're doing. Because if you stop what you're doing, their work comes to a grinding halt. And I suspect that in a place like this, they know that and they recognize that and they tell you that from time to time, expressing their great appreciation for you, because without you and your team, their goose is cooked.
Yes, that's right. Oh, sorry, I didn't say that. But hopefully admin staff at other colleges or even other organisations and institutions will appreciate that the admin staff work in conjunction with lecturing staff and other staff to enable the mission, vision and commitments of an organisation to flourish.
The thing I appreciate about Christ College here is that I really do get the sense that all of you consider this a team effort, and there really is not much dichotomy between faculty and leadership staff. Because I think they all know that there's a lot that goes on behind the scenes so that they can walk into a classroom. And it doesn't just magically appear. There's a lot of people who, like you and others, who work really hard behind the scenes to make this happen.
Yeah. Well, thanks for your encouragement, Scott. And if you're interested to hear more about our Vision for Christ for All of Life, you can visit our website at www.christcollege.edu.au. Thanks so much, Scott, for your time.
My pleasure, Samantha. Good to be with you.
Thank you.